Tiny Tales presents River Pearl.
On hot summer days when the sun beat down between the trees, the village of Ivorin sat and sweltered. The air thickened with the buzz of insects and the dust of dry thatching. In the grinding shed, the little donkey's tail drooped. Only his ear moved to flick at flies. But on the riverbank, the village children defied the sleepy heat. Laughter and splashing water sparkled in the sunlight, but Wilem was not with them. He was tracking a squirrel, creeping through the underbrush while it scolded him from the branches. Bush to bush, tree trunk to tree trunk, he moved with careful steps, like his Da taught him. So he was only a smaller shadow moving among the dense green shadow of the trees. The squirrel finally scampered into a thicket and disappeared. Wilem looked up and saw he was far past the village where the water deepened. Further ahead, around another curve in the river, rapids murmured. By Ivorin, the river ran wide and slow. The sun warmed the water, and bugs skittered over the surface. Here, the trees almost trailed their green fingers in that tempting, rushing water. Wilem had left his boots and shirt behind. The sun was baking his shoulders. He glanced around, listening. He wasn't supposed to swim where the current was fast, but if he was careful, no one would know, and the river wouldn't tell. A log had fallen into the river, and he walked along it, over the reeds where the leeches lived, to where the deeper water ran fast and cool. A sunning turtle scuttled into the water and disappeared with a flash of shell. Wilem plunged in. The river's cold current tugged, and he fought against it, shaking his hair out of his face when he came up for air. He rolled and splashed like a marsh rat, diving to the bottom to pick up rocks. His fingers found one wedged into the mud, and he picked at it, prying it free. Only when he surfaced, the thing wasn't a rock at all, but a brown oblong all smooth and covered in black muck. His hands jerked away before he had a chance to tell them not to, and the thing splashed into the water. Wilem stared after it, fighting the current. Then he dove, searching the river bottom until his hands brushed something smooth, and he burst out of the water, triumphant. With the mud rinsed and the muck picked away, he could see it was a shell, clamped tight shut, with a thin seam where it opened. He clambered back onto the fallen log and crept to shore. The turtle poked its head out of the reeds to warily watch him. Wilem crouched on the riverbank and pried the shell open with a flat rock. Inside was soft pink flesh, and nestled in the pink flesh was a small, white stone. Wilem poked it. He'd never seen anything like it. He could ask his Da what it was. His Da knew everything that moved in the forest, and most things that didn't. But if he asked, then his Da would know he'd been swimming where he wasn't supposed to. So he squatted on the riverbank and looked at the open shell between his muddy bare feet and the small stone inside it. "That's good luck," a voice said. Wilem turned to see his Da standing beside a tree, a rabbit in his hand and his bow across his back. "Why is it good luck?" he asked. His Da crouched next to him and picked up the white stone, rolling it between his fingers. River pearls are rare things, and rare things are either lucky or powerful unlucky. Wilem frowned at it, waiting for it to do something special in his Da's hand, but it just glinted dully in the sunlight. It's only a little stone. A little stone in a little shell hiding in the mud, found by someone who was diving where he wasn't supposed to. His Da gave him a sidelong glance. Lucky. He dropped the pearl in Wilem's hand, then stood and strode into the forest. Shoving the pearl into his pocket, Wilem hurried after him, wincing and hopping over sharp pebbles. How'd it get there? Maybe a big old fish put it there for safekeeping. Fish don't have hands. Wilem had to trot to keep up with his father's long strides. They left the forest and crossed the long grass outside Ivorin. When they reached the red lane that ran through it, his Da turned and crouched in front of him, his gray eyes stern. "I don't want you swimming in those waters unless I'm with you." He laid a rough hand on Wilem's shoulder. "You're the only Wilem your ma and I got. A rare thing, like that pearl. And we can't go and pluck another one of you up out of the mud. Got that?" Wilem's fingertip found the pearl in his pocket and stroked its cool side. "How come lucky things is where I'm not supposed to be?" "There's unlucky things there, too." His Da's hand rested heavy on his shoulder. He was waiting for an answer. Reluctantly, Wilem nodded. His Da gently shook him, then stood. Wilem touched the pearl again, then frowned. "Does that mean I might be unlucky?" His Da just laughed and climbed the steps into their little house. Wilem took out the pearl and looked at it shining in his palm. In the sunlight, the world seemed all laid out, always what it looked like. But now he knew rare things lingered in the quiet, hidden corners. When he was grown like his Da, It would be his turn to go into the forests and find what was rare, even if it was powerful unlucky too. Until then, he tucked the pearl in his pocket.
Today's episode was written and narrated by R.E. Rule. Sound design, music, mixing, and production by Frank Nawrot. Please consider becoming a patron of the show. For just $1 per month, you help maintain the show and you receive exclusive access to Tiny Tales soundtracks. Visit tinytalespodcast.com and click on Membership for details. Thanks for listening.